Our guest today is known as the ManyChat Queen. She helps brands personalize their connection with followers through ManyChat automations, helping to boost reach and engagement, leading to higher conversion rates through a seamless customer journey. Welcome to the show, Mel Eilers.
Oh, thanks, Jen. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you because honestly, our business has used ManyChat over the years. I know that we aren't really taking full advantage of everything that it can do. We've been fully immersed. Mostly our automations these days are all about AI flows and AI workflows and so forth. So I am going to have some questions about that and integrations and so forth. But first, let's just start at the very basic level because a lot of our listeners may not even know what ManyChat is. What is ManyChat?
So ManyChat is a chat marketing platform, and I think it's super important to point out initially that it is 100% a Meta verified business partner. You are 100% allowed to use this into the back end of your Instagram platform or your Facebook business page. You could also connect into WhatsApp and SMS and Telegram, I think. I predominantly talk about Instagram because I think that's where a lot of people get their traction these days. But essentially, it is a way of automating some of those DMs in the back end of Instagram. So you may have seen, certainly in the last 6 months, because things have kind of exploded a little bit in the last 6 months, with people saying, comment this word on my post and I will send you something, a lead magnet, whatever it is. And then the people comment, and then that sends an automation in the back end into their DMs where they follow the prompts and they sign up for the lead magnet, and it's all within the DMs. So you're not sending them to a link, you're not sending them off platform, it's all within that DMs, which makes it such a great seamless customer journey. So ManyChat essentially is a way of automating some of those conversations in the back end of Instagram.
Yeah, and I think that is really such an important point because back in the early days, there was some question about is this kosher? Are we going to get penalized for this? And I feel like in the old days and the beginning days of ManyChat, we did get dinged, but eventually they all got together and now they love each other and
yeah.
And it's all good. The first question is, why should we be using ManyChat on our Instagram?
So essentially, from a brand point of view, a personal brand, large brand, whatever you are, if Instagram is one of your main platforms for getting leads and sales, you're kind of your only option if you are not using ManyChat is to send them to your link in bio. Mm-hmm. Or if you obviously from stories, you can also send them to a link. But if you're sending someone to link in bio from your posts, you're sending them away from the post that you want them to engage with. Secondly, you're sending them then to your bio where they may or they may not find the right link, because you can have quite a few links there now. And then you've got to remember to actually change your links to make sure you've got the right link there. And then once they find the right link and they click on it, you're then sending them off Instagram completely. So if you're looking for Instagram to be one of your main platforms, by using ManyChat, you can gather all the users' details within the DMs. You don't need to send them to a link. And obviously when you send someone to a landing page, a website, or whatever it is, say that you want them to opt in for something, you have no real control actually over whether they opt in or not. Once they've left Instagram and they've gone and they've hit your website, if they don't opt in, you can't necessarily get them back. Or, if they get distracted or whatever it is, whatever reason they've not opted in, you can't get them back unless they remember that they wanted to opt in for that thing and then the doorbell rang and they got distracted. Or even possibly you send them a retargeting ad through Facebook ads or something like that. But within ManyChat, if you bring them into the DMs and have that conversation within the DMs, even though it's automated, all they really have to do is comment that one word, and then if they're opting in for something, they're giving their name and they're giving their email, all within the DMs. So for the consumer, it's like a 20-second journey, essentially, where you're not sending them off on some convoluted journey to go and find your link to opt in, which for the brand means if it's a super easy journey for the consumer, your conversion rates are going to be a lot higher. So
yeah, and so in your flow, in your automation flows, do you ask for the email first thing? Is that the first question?
No, so I always build as if it is a conversation, because it's meant to, chatbots are meant to be fun. They're meant to be conversational marketing. So the first note that I would always use would say, hi, I think it says, this is Mel's Instabot. It looks like you're looking for the lead magnet or the webinar sign up for whatever the subject is. Is that right? So we're checking with the user that they know that they're in the right place. They know that they've landed on the right thing, that they're opting in for that thing, and they click yes. And then the next step will, depending on what they're opting in for, will normally give them a couple of sales messages. So if it's, say, for example, it is a free PDF lead magnet, it would say, this great lead magnet, this is, problem 1, problem 2, and this is kind of, solution 1, solution 2. You definitely still want this? And they say yes, hopefully, and they go, great. All I need to do now is ask for your name. Just type it for me below. So we're explaining what we need them to do. Mm-hmm. So it's super simple, because you make it super clear that conversion rate is going to be higher. So then to say, please just drop your name. Just type it in the box below. They type in their name. And the next question will say, and now I need your email, and just type it below, and they type it below. And then ordinarily the next node will then be, great, that's it. That's all you need to do. And then we close the conversation. In the same way we've opened the conversation by saying hello, we close the conversation again by saying, that's it, enjoy the rest of your day. You will soon find that lead magnet in your email basket. Bye-bye, sort of thing. So otherwise, because if you don't close the conversation, you can sometimes find people there going, is there any more? Is there any more automation coming? Is there another message? So we close the conversation, and that gives them a nice little loop. So they've come in, they've given their name, they've given their email, and then they know that they're done and they can go and get on with their day.
I love it. But how much functionality is there? Can it be used with stories and Instagram Lives as well?
Yep, it certainly can. In fact, I always recommend that when you set up your flows, a lot of people do use the post and reel trigger, because that is, that's where we want a lot of our traction. But you can also
the what trigger? Sorry,
the post and the reel trigger.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's within ManyChat. When you build it, you're at the very start, you're saying what is going to trigger this automation. So there is the post and the reel trigger, which means it will work on all your posts and reels. There is a story trigger, which means if you mention your keyword in your stories, that will fire, and they type in the message box at the bottom, that will also fire it. It can also be fired from Instagram Lives. It can also be fired by a direct DM. It can also be fired by someone mentioning you in their stories. So if this is a great one for e-commerce brands, actually. E-commerce brands have a lot of people will tag them in unboxing videos. And they'll get the brand will get the message. But if they're a large brand, they probably get tagged in an awful lot of stories. And so their DMs are probably, it's prolific, the amount that are probably in there. But if you can set up a story mention reply that just simply says, thank you for the tag, thank you for the mention, appreciate it. And then from a consumer point of view, they're getting the recognition that the brand has said thank you. But from the brand point of view, they're not spending hours in the DMs trying to respond to everybody to say thank you. So that can all be automated. I make sure I have my keywords in my bio as well. It can link into Facebook ads. There's also menu options as well within ManyChat. So I think there's about 11 ways that you could fire your automations from within Instagram.
I mean, when I'm hearing you talk about it, I'm thinking, gosh, why do I not have this connected to everything? But then I'm like, is that going to get old if I, like, every reel, every whatever I say, comment, bonanza down below? Should we be selective on how we use this? Okay.
I personally think so, yes, because I think it is, people's, audiences, they don't like to be sold to in every single post, I think. And I mean, for me, if I'll only advertise my stuff if I'm actually in list building mode for whatever it is, and probably every sort of 3 to 4 posts, I'll mention some sort of automation saying comment below to get this, or DM me this word to get this. I think if you're using it on every single story, then people will possibly start to tune out a little bit. I don't think it's necessary. I personally wouldn't do it on every single story.
How would you do it in a story? It's same thing. You would say, would you put text on the story, or would you just say in the story, text down below?
I just say it. I normally just say it verbally. Say, comment whatever the keyword is and pop it in this box here. But then I also, for me, I always have my captions on my stories as well, if I can, which makes sure that people who are listening without sound on also know. So making it super easy for them to opt in.
Awesome. All right. So as people are starting to think of like the kind of flow for lead generation that they should deploy in their businesses, can you give us an example of a good flow?
Well, essentially, I think the kind of the lead generation flow is like the workhorse of ManyChat. I think it's a super easy way to bring them into the DMs. You're only gathering their name and their email, and then you're zapping that information over to your CRM, hopefully to then ping them whatever it is. You can also build, the one thing, how a lot of e-com brands have like a standard sign up flow, sign up with us to join our newsletter and get 10%. That was another great one to replicate onto ManyChat. If you're more of a lead generation like coaching or course creators, I would certainly automate your main list building, lead magnet, whatever that is. So for me, I have a ManyChat starter kit, and I have a free kind of PDF guide. So they are the two that I mention the most in my flows. But you can also, for clients, I build like webinar registration flows. So if they are holding a webinar as a mode of lead generation, in lieu of there being an upsell to a larger course, we can take those registrations within the bot as well. So literally, because that's doing the same thing. They're just gathering their name and their email and being interested in the webinar. You can do all sorts. If you were a company that used a quiz, possibly as a lead magnet, so you had some sort of product quiz, what product would suit you if it was skincare or something, and you could say this is the product that suits you with various questions. There's so much that you can do.
And there's sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
Well, there's that beautiful tagging system. So. So based on the behavior that you take there inside of ManyChat and is segmenting it beyond, even further.
Yes, definitely. So you can use tags in the back end, the same as we do in our email platforms. You can use tags to segment your audiences. You can use conditions as well. So that comes in, for conditional logic. So if someone comes in and you're looking, have they got this tag? No, they haven't. So they go this way, or yes, they have. So they go this way. So for example, I would use that in a way that, when someone comes into my flow, I use a condition to check whether ManyChat already knows their first name and their email. And if it does, i.e. they've opted into one of my automations before, then the flow says, it looks like we've chatted before, first name. I don't need to gather their name and address, which makes that journey even quicker. So they come in, they confirm what they want, and it goes, oh, we've chatted before, you're done. That's it. You're registered.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I love that. That's really great. I don't think we've definitely haven't used that condition, and I love that. So are there any new integrations between ManyChat and tools like ChatGPT and Claude that you know of? Have you played around with that yet?
So ManyChat does have AI functionality kind of within. It's something I've looked into. I don't use it a lot yet. It is a higher fee on ManyChat to use the AI functionality, but you can integrate it with, so for example, like one of them is to recognize the intent of a message. So instead of using like a keyword to fire off a specific automation, you can recognize the intent of a user's message. So for example, if you were a large brand and someone wanted to know your opening hours, you could, and they typed into the DMs, what hours are you open? Then the AI can recognize the intent of that message and deliver the answer to that if you've got everything uploaded into the back end of the knowledge base. So there's various ways you can do it. And it does integrate as well with ChatGPT. So it's not something I've tested a lot of, but I do know the functionality is there, and it'll only improve from here on in, I'm sure.
What are the rules because I remember this, again, this is in the olden days. Um, I think I remember there being like very strict rules about how many messages you could send in a certain amount of time and to a certain number of people. Like, what are the parameters there?
So there's slight differences between Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp as well, even though they're all meta platforms. So on Instagram, there was the 24-hour rule, which also does apply to Facebook as well. So someone opts into your automations and they take your intended action. You then have 24 hours in which to send them any further relevant automations, should you choose to do so. I would always caution that you are strategic with your marketing and you don't just bombard them with more automations unless it's, part of the journey that they're already on. Sure. Once that 24-hour window is up, you cannot send them anything else via automation. It doesn't stop you going into your phone and going to the DMs and starting a human conversation, but you cannot send them any more automated conversations until they choose to opt in again. So ManyChat is very much permission-based marketing. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a couple of functionalities. So for older Instagram accounts, and I actually have this function, but I know a lot of people don't, there is the ability to build a list, and you have to name that list with what the subject matter of exactly why those people are on it. And this does exist on Facebook as well for everybody. Everybody can have this function on Facebook, but not everyone has it on Instagram. So for example, when I run a webinar for myself, they opt in and then I say, I'd like to be able to send you reminders here on Instagram. Would you like to opt in for that? And they click yes. Then they go on to that DM list so that I can then send them messages outside of that 24-hour window because they have opted in to that. Sadly, not everybody has that functionality though on Instagram. So for the majority of accounts, once that 24-hour window is closed, you can no longer get them via any automation until they opt in again.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that because I remember there was a thing called broadcasts where you could just, because I felt like that was one of the big benefits of having this, so yes, ideally we've collected all the people's email addresses who have opted in or engaged with our ManyChat. But if not, and in addition, because we have a way to contact them over there, to me, that was always one of the big benefits. So that if you wanted to reach out with a message, you could send this broadcast. But what I'm hearing you say is that you really can't do that unless they explicitly opt in. And even then, you were asking them very specifically for reminders for the webinar. So you couldn't use it to say, I've just added a bonus, right?
No.
You really have to use it just to be like, hey, our webinar starts in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if that bonus was part of the webinar setup, or it was to do with the subject of which they've already opted in for, then yes. But you couldn't have them opt in for a webinar, list, and then say, by the way, I've just opened up a new shop down the road. That's, completely different. That's not what they've opted in for. So any messages that are relevant to what they've signed up for are absolutely allowed. And that is how it's now done on Instagram. So they have to opt into a certain list and then you can do a broadcast to that list. So you could have people opting in if people did have this functionality, if they have got older Instagram accounts and they've already activated that functionality, you could have them opted in to a list called something like, I don't know, daily tips or something like, or daily news. And then they would be expecting to receive some sort of daily news. But you couldn't have it, you wouldn't have it for a certain set of people who say have signed up for a webinar. You couldn't then start sending them daily news because that's not what they've opted in for. So the functionality does exist on the Facebook side, but it is a little different, sadly, on the Instagram side. Because I think it's such an amazing functionality, but not everybody has it.
Yeah. I mean, I could be imagining this, but I feel like I've heard that ManyChat is a good way to re-engage cold followers or inactive leads. But I don't know how you would, like, on your email list. Does anything come to mind for you for that? Like,
no. I mean, once you've kind of used ManyChat to get them from Instagram over into your email, I would be looking to do that via the email platform, I think, because of the way that ManyChat is permission-based marketing.
Right.
They would need to opt in again via Instagram, really, to become like a warmer lead again.
Do you have any, especially as we're, last night I went to hear this woman talk about, she works in Washington, D.C., and she's in the, she doesn't work directly in the defense department, but her job is to, like, is in the Defense Department, and it's basically national security and AI, okay?
Wow.
So, I mean, so dry, right? But it was more interesting than you might think. But I thought, well, I'm very interested in AI, so I'm going to go and hear what she talks about. And at the end, someone asked her what resources she recommends for further learning. It was specifically, like, she looks at China and U.S. relations and AI and all that. And so one podcast she recommends was, like, very academic. And then then she said she also recommends the Moth podcast. Are you familiar with the Moth?
I'm not, no.
It's really great. It's people speak from the stage, and they just tell their stories. They're very human stories, and it's just great. It's really, and they have to, it's not like they just let anybody up there. So they're sort of screened before they get up there, and the stories are just outstanding. And I had forgotten about this podcast. It just fell off my radar, but I used to listen to it for years and years. So I'm telling you all this because what she said was, and I thought it was just such an odd answer, the Moth podcast. And she said, because in my work, I need human stories, right? Like, I need more humanization because, I mean, she's working in this world of AI. So now we're all immersed in it, and you're using ManyChat for automation, and we're all messing around with AI and ChatGPT and all of that. And so as we do move forward with all of this, we need to try and sound more human. What, and not to put you on the spot, but can you tell us, because I think this is what will get really people excited about ManyChat if they aren't already using it. So, share with us a recent story or a case study where of something someone has done with ManyChat to get great results.
Sure. So I can think of two actually immediately. One of it is a client of mine, Catherine. She is a retail coach. So she has, I think she's just over 10,000 followers on Instagram. So, she's not huge, but she has a sizable following. And so she does, like, masterclasses and group programs to help e-commerce brands maximize their sales, essentially. She had been using ManyChat for as long as I had, but she confessed she didn't really know what she was doing. She didn't have time to sort it out, etc., etc. So she became a client of mine, and I rebuilt some of her flows for her. One of her main lead magnets we rebuilt, and with opting in within the DMs. So they were coming in, they were being introduced as Catherine's Instabot. They're giving a couple of sales messages about what the lead magnet was.
Wait, sorry. Let me just interrupt you really quickly. Can you give us an example of something that she's saying in the post?
Yeah.
Like in her actual content, like the piece of content.
Okay.
We'll start from there. Yeah.
So we agreed the trigger words, and then she writes her post, which is obviously appealing, on the angle of what the lead magnet is. So, for example, she has one on getting rid of too much stock. So she writes about the pain points of having too much stock is profitability, etc., etc. Would you like my, I have a free guide, comment, I think stock or stock doctor or something below, and I will get that sent over to you. So she has it in the actual text. She then has it also in the visual as well. So it's super clear for people who skim read. And then she likely, if she's promoting that, she'll likely do stories as well, verbal stories, where she'll say, comment this correct keyword below. So it's in stories, the keyword is in the text, and it's also in the visual as well. So she's maximizing her chances for the opt-in. And so for this particular first lead magnet that I built out for her, she had a 90% conversion rate. So everybody who opted in, i.e. they landed in the DMs, 90% of them took that intended action, which was to sign up for the lead magnet. It was free, so there's no cost involved, and it was just a name and an email and some sales messages, and that was her done essentially. So that would be one. And then a totally different use case. A student of mine, she trained with me back in September. She is a fashion stylist in Ireland, Sarah. She has quite a large following. I think she's got like 45,000 followers, so a much bigger audience. And she wanted to use ManyChat to bring people into her DMs to gather their name and email. So she was list building, but then to send them a discount code. And then send them, so they give the name and the email to then get the discount code, not the other way around. So to make sure she's got the list building bit in first, then she delivered the discount code, and then she gave them website links that went directly to the outfit that they were commenting on. So for her, it was a way of list building, direct conversations with people, bringing them into the DM. So not sending them off to link in bio, and then sending them directly to the outfit that she was showcasing that day, with a discount code and a link going, here you go. And so I think she got about 300 comments or something on that first post that she ever did. So she was super excited with that. So that's kind of two different sides really. One, pure lead generation, and the other one, on a much more of an e-commerce brand. So, but both phenomenal results. And I think it's also worth noting that a lot of people will say, I don't have an audience that big. Catherine's was sort of over 10,000, Sarah's was about 45,000, but lots smaller accounts can do really well with it. I only have over 1,000 followers, I think, on Instagram, and I predominantly use it for lead magnets and webinar registrations. That generally is it, but that's where the importance of your organic content really has to happen first, really. So despite whatever your audience size is almost irrelevant, because it's the engagement that you're getting and the traction that you're getting. If you've got that and you've got people talking to you in the comments and in the DMs already, implementing ManyChat then is going to amplify that. So ManyChat, it's important to note that ManyChat is not some magic tool. You don't just plug it in and then everyone starts commenting. Sadly, that doesn't happen. You have to have the organic traction first, and then ManyChat will amplify what you've got by, all the comments that you're getting will then obviously plays well with the algorithm, and you get better reach.
So there was no Facebook ad money in those two examples that you gave us. That was purely organic traffic.
Yeah,
that's
all
fantastic.
Organic traffic.
So what's a good starter flow for someone who's just brand new at this? Like where would you start?
So I would start, this is where I recommend people start, but I do obviously recommend that you then move on. So on ManyChat's free plan, you can easily build yourself a super comment to a website link flow. So they can comment a keyword, they come into the DMs, you make sure they, give them that little hello message and go, here is the link that you would like. And that admittedly, yes, that is then sending them off platform to opt in or to read or to, listen to whatever it is you're sending them to. But I think that is a great way for people to start to think, okay, how can I actually get more strategic with this? And the step up from that would be to definitely have ManyChat Pro. I think it starts at $15 a month. So it's not huge money. And then learn how to build a list building flow where they are opting in within the DM. So you're not having to send them out off platform with a link. You can do it all within the DMs. But that super simple flow is available. You can do that on the free plan. The data collection nodes of name and email, unfortunately, aren't available on the free plan. You have to have Pro for that. But if you just wanted to go in and have a little mess around, get the free plan, and then just go in and have a little play, because it's quite easy to set up. And that would then hopefully spark some ideas about what they could do next.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that you said it was easy, because I haven't been in there in a while, and my team pretty much does all of that stuff now. But I remember when I was messing with it myself, it's like a really nice, simple user interface, and it's very intuitive, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, yeah. It's drag and drop, so it's a no-code platform. I think if you wanted to get super technical, way down the line, there is some sort of coding that you can start to implement. But in order to, to get really good strategic results, you don't need to be able to learn to code. It's not necessary at all. You're literally dragging message nodes around and linking them up with arrows as to where the conversation is going, and then implementing any tags or actions that you need to do. But it is super simple. It's very much follows like a logical conversation. You're literally building each node. Yeah, easy.
I know, like you said, there has been an explosion of creators like doing the, comment, bacon down below. But I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I really like it. I'm commenting all the time to get those lead magnets.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the ease of doing it as well, because I can just click on it right there in the chat.
Yeah.
And to get the thing that I want, because honestly, with all the distractions, if I have to go check my email, and sometimes I know they come via email as well, or maybe they do, but whatever. It's like I take care of it then and there, and I don't have to forget about it, and I'm not likely to forget.
Yeah, no, this is an important thing to say, actually. Because if you're signing up for a lead magnet or something, you can then deliver that lead magnet within the chat flow, depending on what it is. If it's a PDF or a guide or something, you can then deliver that within the chat flow, as well as then back it up via an email. So it's almost like a two-pronged attack, as it were. You don't have to, you don't have to not do it in the chat flow and only get it into the email. You can deliver it there and then.
Yeah, and that's such a benefit, because if you deliver the PDF, I'm thinking this out. If you deliver the PDF in the DM, and then the user opens it, and maybe they're within that PDF, like there's a next action to reply or whatever. I guess you don't have to worry about it going into a spam folder, right? So many, oftentimes that's a real problem. You've got these PDFs and they're going in people's spam folders. They actually get it, and then they're more likely to engage beyond that. So that's a real benefit. And then also sending it to their inbox. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So if people, I always think like, whenever we have someone who gives us like a little training, as you've so generously done today, whoever the expert is, it's like yesterday we had a LinkedIn training. Well, I'm going to go follow him, and I'm going to copy what he does, and I'm going to look at his profile, because he's the expert that's teaching us. So all of our listeners need to go to your Instagram and follow you and get into your DMs so we can see how the pro is doing it. What is your Instagram handle, Mel?
So I am at socially_sound. I assume that will go into the show notes as well.
Yes, sure.
And if you go to, there is a pinned post. I think it is the first post on there. And if you comment on that pinned post, you will be able to see exactly how chat marketing works and how quick and simple it can be.
Wonderful. Well, I'll make sure and put all of your contact info down below in the show notes. And any sort of last minute thoughts or tips you want to give before we wrap up?
I would just say to anyone who's kind of sitting on the fence, they're a little bit intrigued, they're not quite sure. There is no harm in just signing up for a free account and just having a little play around. And really, you'll probably then start to think, if you do a little bit more research into it, think about what you actually could automate, think about where your pinch points are as a brand. What is the best thing that you could automate? And that is always, your best performing kind of lead magnet or lead generator, whatever that is. And just have a go. If it, that's the only way really that you will know whether it's right for your brand. But I think it's absolutely a phenomenal platform for Instagram. It really is.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. You've given us a lot to think about. I really appreciate it, Mel. Thank you.
Thank you.